All right, let's take a trip back to the early days of computing. When giants roamed the earth. But this story, it isn't about brute force. Nope, it's about a clever gambit, a real masterstroke of strategy that let a tiny upstart go head-to-head with an absolute empire. And it all kicks off with this simple, almost unbelievable marketing trick.
And there it is. That's where the whole thing begins. Not with a line of code, but with a pure marketing psychology. See, the very first product from the company that would become Oracle, it wasn't called version 1. It was launched as version 2. And that single decision tells you everything, and I mean everything, you need to know about this company's ambitious DNA.
So why skip version 1? Come on, it's simple, right? It just sounds more mature. It suggests that, hey, all those early bugs, we already worked them out. It's a total confidence play. And this small choice was a huge sign of the aggressive, strategic thinking that would come to define Oracle in its fight for the database market.
Of course, a clever name only gets you so far. So in 1979, the world finally got its hands on the actual product, Oracle V2. And listen, this wasn't just another piece of software. This was the first ever commercially available relational database that used SQL, a genuine game changer.
Okay, so Oracle V2 was, no joke, revolutionary. It was the first of its kind, running on those popular PDP-11 mini computers. You could run SQL queries, you could join tables, all great stuff. But, and this is a big but, it had a critical missing piece, a fatal flaw, really. It had absolutely no concept of transactions. So what does that mean? It means it was zero guarantee your data would stay consistent if something went wrong mid-operation. For any serious business, that's a huge, huge risk.
So, how did they fix this gaping hole? Well, Oracle didn't just patch the problem. They went all the way back to the drawing board. Version 3 wasn't just some simple update. It was a complete reinvention. It was a strategic move designed to do way more than just add one missing feature.
Just look at that timeline for a second. 4 years. In the software world, that's practically an eternity. So this wasn't a quick fix. Between 1979 and 1983, the team took on this monumental task, rewriting the entire database from the ground up in a totally new language, C. And believe me, the result shows exactly why it was worth that long wait.
Man, the difference was just night and day. V2 was written in assembler, which basically tied it directly to the PDP-11 hardware. It was trapped. But V3, rewritten in C, it was portable, it could run on all sorts of different computers. And, just as importantly, it finally introduced that critical feature, atomic transactions.
So, what in the world is an atomic transaction? Well, think of it like a pact you make with your database. You give it a set of instructions, like say, transfer money from this account to that one, and it promises to either do all of it successfully or none of it at all. It's all or nothing. There's no in-between. And this is basically how it works. You begin your transaction, you make your changes, and if everything goes off without a hitch, you commit. The changes are locked in, permanent. But if the power fails or any little error pops up, the database performs a rollback. It's like a giant undo button for the entire operation, snapping the database right back to the exact state it was in before you even started. For the first time, businesses had a real guarantee of data consistency. So, now with data consistency guaranteed and a brand new architecture under the hood, Oracle was finally ready for a real fight. And they set their sights on the biggest name in the entire game, IBM.
So you're probably thinking, okay, it must have been the introduction of transactions, or maybe just the power of SQL that gave them the edge. And yeah, those were absolutely important, for sure. But what was the one strategic feature that truly allowed this David to take on Goliath?
The key was freedom. The key was choice. It all came down to one word, portability. And this wasn't just a technical feature. It was a devastatingly effective business strategy.
See, IBM's database software, it was brilliant, don't get me wrong. But it was shackled, completely tied to their own expensive IBM hardware. You had to buy into the whole ecosystem. But Oracle, now that it was written in C, it could run, well, anywhere, on machines from all kinds of different vendors. This gave customers freedom and flexibility, and it opened up this massive, diverse market that IBM simply couldn't touch. They were playing chess, while IBM was still playing checkers on its own proprietary board.
And that's really the core of the story here. The entire journey, from that first commercial SQL database in V2 to the absolute guarantee of data consistency in V3, it was all leading to this one moment. It proved that in the new world of software, the ability to run anywhere was the ultimate weapon.
With this strategy, Oracle didn't just build a product, they ignited a revolution, and they were setting the stage for decades of dominance in the database world.
But the story doesn't end there, not by a long shot. With Oracle V4, their next move was going to be even more ambitious, to connect databases not just across different machines, but across the entire world. But that's a story for another time.